Welcome back to DNC here live at the United Center as we continue to carry on the conversation at Politics in Color. We are joined by very special guests. We have Opal Lee, who is the grandmother of Juneteenth. We know that Juneteenth is a holiday that has just become a federal holiday, only mandated within the last 2 years, believe it or not. Opal Lee, thank you so much for joining us. We're also joined by Dion Sims, who is the founder of Unity United and Opal's Walk for Freedom, and that's down in Fort Worth, Texas. Miss Opal Lee, let's start with you. How excited are you to be here for this history-making moment at the Democratic National Convention?
Listen, I am humbled. I don't even know how to express it. I had some words I wanted to say, and then I've forgotten them. But just realize that I am in seventh heaven. Is that enough for that?
When is the last time that you felt this way about an election?
I haven't in a long time. I'm a precinct chair, and so I get out my vote. But I haven't been impressed in a long time.
When you think about all that you have fought for over your years so that the next generation and the next generation can have this moment, what do you think about?
I think that I'm extremely grateful that we've come as far as we have, but we have so much farther to go. The joblessness and the homelessness and insurance that some of us can get and the others can't. And climate change that we're all responsible for. And if we aren't careful, we're all going to hell in a handbasket.
What they call you the grandmother of Juneteenth. Tell our viewers why.
Well, in Texas, we didn't know that we were free until a General Gordon Granger and thousands of colored troops came to Texas, and they had what was called General Order Number 3 that said all enslaved people were free. And when we heard that, and they nailed that general order to the door of what's now Reedy Chapel AME Church. And when we came in from where we were working and somebody read that to us, it said we were free, and we've been free ever since.
There are a lot of people that felt like the years under Donald Trump didn't feel so free. That's for sure. Dion, let me bring you in on this conversation. Tell us about the Opal's Walk for Freedom.
So her symbolic walk that she did from 2016 to get the recognition for the holiday is now an annual event.
Tell us about the walk.
Okay, so she started in 2016 to bring awareness to Juneteenth being a national holiday, and she walked all across the country. COVID hit, and so that stopped her moving around campaign, but we made it an annual event here in Fort Worth. And so now we have annual events on the 19th of June where she walks the 2.5 miles, 2.5 for the 2.5 years that it took for enforcement to get to slaves in Texas. But we are asking people to walk with us virtually on their bikes and their treadmills and post it to their social media. And then with us physically, we have the walk that she does, but we also have host cities that are doing Opal's walks across the country. And the goal is in 2026 that when the nation turns 250, that we will have one Opal's Walk at least in every 50 state, so we can show the unity that Juneteenth represents for everybody and allow people to celebrate African American history and culture for Juneteenth and not just, think it's about red soda water and barbecue. So, but the goal is definitely about that year 2026 so we can celebrate freedom from the 19th of June to the 4th of July. Because, Grandeur, what do you say about July 4th?
Oh, that it freed the land, but Juneteenth freed the people.
When you think about this administration, what could be with, and what could be with Vice President Harris, President to be Kamala Harris. The history there, how do you think she would continue to support this movement, the Juneteenth movement?
I'm sure that she'll be on board. I've watched what she's done as a vice president and what has happened with the president, and they were on the right track. I felt like our country was going to end up being the poster child or the poster girl for the rest of the world.
When they finally made Juneteenth a federal holiday, where were you? What happened? How did you feel?
Oh, I had left Texas, walking 2.5 miles wherever, and when I got to Washington and watched President Biden signing the bill into law, I was a happy camper. I tell you, I could have done a holy dance, but the kids say when I try, I'm twerking, whatever that is.
No, absolutely not. So then Joe Biden, I think you have a good love for Joe Biden then.
Yes, he's a wonderful person and has done a lot for the United States. And I'm pleased to say I know him.
And not only for the United States, but making Juneteenth a federal holiday does a lot for black people.
Yes, and for people otherwise in other countries. They're emulating what we're doing here in the United States.
I have a question, Dion. Maybe you can answer. Why do they call it Juneteenth? I have to explain this to my coworkers. Why not just say June 19th?
Well, and the concatenation of bringing June and 19 together to make the one word is not just a colloquialism, but it's really catchy too. So, I mean, keeps us from having to say June 19th. All right, it's just Juneteenth, and everybody knows that's on the 19th of June. So I think it's been that way for as long as I've been born, and it was her way when she was little too. So we have to, and it could be just, hey, the enslaved were just so glad, and somebody told them the date. Don't know, but it's stuck.
How do you plan to continue to work with the Harris administration if she's on board? And if it's the Trump administration, how would you plan on working with him?
Well, again, you have to respect the office, even if you can't respect the person. And so with Juneteenth being a national holiday and on all the calendars for the nation, I don't think any president can deny the country the right and the enjoyment of celebrating the national holiday. So it doesn't hinder us, but it sure is nice to have someone in it that supports the holiday.
And I'll ask you the same thing. If Donald Trump gets back into office, how do you think, will you continue to work with them towards progress?
I'm gonna change his mind. I can be persuasive when I want to be, and he's gonna learn what Juneteenth means. Freedom for everybody, not just black folks, not just Texans, but freedom for everyone. He ain't even free yet. He don't know it.
And that's the theme of this Democratic National Convention and the theme for Vice President Harris. Freedom, freedom, freedom. And you just heard it from a legend, from the original, the grandmother of Juneteenth herself, Miss Opal Lee. And she is joined by Miss Dion Sims, who is the founder of the Opal's Walk for Freedom down in Texas. Thank you both for being with us. I'm honored to have spoken to you. Happy to meet you. Continue the fight. Thank you for joining us here on Join the Conversation. We'll have more coming up from the Democratic National Convention live here in Chicago.